Mellow greetings, everybody. My name is James. I'm from the internet, and today we are going to talk about how the insurrectionists are faring out in the world post-insurrection. Woo! Let me tell you, it's been a long few days. We had the whole insurrection, the shock of watching it. Like I've seen some shit in my day, and even I was kind of surprised. Then the initial fallout, then the bipartisan outrage that wasn't actually bipartisan. And now the information is sort of slowed down. It's coming in a constant trickle, but it's coming from different places, different states, different organizations, different groups, different people. And we're sort of getting enough time to finally sit back and look at the whole thing on a macro scale. So what we're going to do is we're going to loop back around and we're going to check up with some of the insurrectionists that I pointed out in last week's video. Then we're going to look at some updated reports on intelligence and exactly what happened. And last but not least, we're going to check in with the head insurrectionist himself and see what his take on the situation is. So let's roll the tape. What's going on, insurrectionists? Uh-oh, it's the Popo. Huh, I wonder what could be going on here. Huh. Oh. Oh. For those of you who haven't been keeping up with the hashtag no-fly list, let me tell you, this is my new kink, and I have absolutely no shame about it. These people literally thought they could fly across the country, do some insurrection, and then hop on a plane and fly back home like nothing happened. Like they just went to DC for a sightseeing trip and we're coming home, with a bag of trinkets from the Smithsonian Institute and not gas masks and flags stolen from the inside of the U.S. Capitol building. Now, the common thread that I noticed when watching all of these videos, and trust me, I've watched all of them many times, is that one of two things occurs when the police come to get the insurrectionists. Their initial reaction is anger. There it is, the middle finger. And then the second reaction is shock. Now, there's no fear anywhere in here. It's just anger that they're, being publicly embarrassed. And then shock that something actually happened to them. It's almost like these are a bunch of entitled people who could afford to take a week off of work and fly across country and get a bougie-ass hotel room and kick it in insurrection land for the weekend and then fly back home. And they have probably never once in their life had 6 officers come up to them and go, "Excuse me, would you come with us?"
This is the lady who was seen in the other video comforting the crying toddler guy who was kicked off a flight.
Freedom of speech.
They're all on the no-fly list for being radical white terrorists.
Seems like everybody on the plane was exercising their freedom of speech, so there you go. Liberty level achievement unlocked. I feel like I should make a long tirade here about how just yelling the word free speech and then doing whatever you want isn't actually free speech, but I feel like we already covered that. If you have any questions, please check out yesterday's video. Cool, I'm gonna keep going now.
I love every single one of you, but this is what they do to us. They kick me off the plane, they call me a fucking terrorist, and they want to fucking ruin my life.
Why? Why do these people want to kick me off a plane and call me a terrorist and ruin my life? At no point was he like, why did I decide to fly across the country during a pandemic and do some insurrection inside the U.S. state capitol? Why? Why did I ruin my life? So much for the party of personal responsibility, huh? And now we get to my favorite of all the insurrectionists, Jake Angeli, a.k.a. the Q Shaman, a.k.a. Man Bear Pig. The shirtless rioter, who was pictured storming the U.S. Capitol in an outfit of horns and fur, has told the FBI that he came to Washington, D.C. on Wednesday, quote, at the request of the president. Jake Angeli, 32 of Arizona, whose real name is Jacob Anthony Chansley, was arrested on Saturday and charged with knowingly entering or remaining in any restricted building or grounds without lawful authority and with violent entry and disorderly conduct on the Capitol grounds, according to the DOJ. Yeah, them some federal charges. A Capitol Police arrest affidavit shows that Chansley called into the Washington field office for the FBI on January 7th, one day after the riots, and voluntarily confirmed to officials that he was the, quote, male in face paint and headdress in the vice president's chair in the Senate. Yeah, Jake, it wasn't a secret. Literally, Twitter outed you like 13 minutes into the first live stream after y'all got through the first door. Chansley, who was among the mob that broke into the Capitol as lawmakers met to formally certify President-elect Joe Biden's 2020 presidential election win, said he, quote, came as part of a group effort with other patriots from Arizona at the request of the president. Oh, what do you mean? I was just sitting at home. I was, chilling in my mom's basement. I was feeding my koi fish. And President Donald Trump called me out. I just picked up the phone. He was like, Jake, I'm going to need you to come to D.C. immediately and do some insurrection. Please bring some friends. So, I had to go. I mean, he's the president, right? Right? Man, bear, pig. Chansley became a prominent figure of the incident after he was pictured inside the chamber shirtless, wearing horns, with face paint featuring colors of the American flag, and covered in tattoos. After the police secured the building and removed the rioters, several of President Donald Trump's loyalists began pushing a false narrative, claiming that the Capitol had been breached by members of the dreaded Antifa. Quote, some of the people who breached the Capitol today were not Trump supporters, GOP Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida said on the House floor. They were masquerading as Trump supporters, and in fact were members of the violent terrorist group Antifa. Yeah, hey, Matt, there were no Antifas. Sorry. No Antifas to be found. No. We were all sitting at home watching the live streams going, oh, wow, look. People in the federal government actually let people run into the Capitol building and do insurrection. Yeah, that's what we were doing, Matt. You were hiding under a desk acting shocked, no doubt. Man Bear Pig took to Twitter and insisted that he was not part of the Black Lives Matter or Antifa movements. Quote, I am a QAnon and digital soldier, he tweeted. My name is Jake and I marched with the police and fought against BLM and Antifa in Phoenix. Hey, remember before when I was telling you about the shock? It's almost like there are people who can't possibly imagine the gravity of the situation because they've never been in a situation because they're somewhat entitled. Yeah, Jake here is more concerned that people are calling him Antifa than he is with the fact that he's under federal indictment. All right, now we're not quite done with Man Bear Pig. All right, just a couple of updates real quick. Jacob Chansley, a.k.a. Jake Angeli, Arizona man, makes first court appearance for charges related to storming the U.S. Capitol. His mom says he hasn't eaten since Friday because the detention facility won't feed him all organic food. What? Jake's going to go on a hunger strike because he can't eat organic. Somebody's entitled. Jake Angeli will be fed organic shaman diet following judge's order. The U.S. Marshal's Office said it will be complying with the strict organic diet of the Capitol attack suspect known as the QAnon shaman, following reports he has not eaten since he was placed in custody. During his first appearance at a federal courtroom in Phoenix, Angeli's public defender Gerald Williams told the judge he had not eaten since he was taken into custody because he is on an extremely restrictive diet consisting solely of organic food, believed to be for religious reasons. Judge Deborah Fine said the claims are deeply concerning and ordered Williams to find a way to accommodate the 33-year-old's demands. Quote, we will abide by the judge's order, said the U.S. Marshal for the District of Arizona. Surprise, surprise, off-duty cops from all over the country were in D.C. during the Capitol coup attempt. Several police departments across the country have opened investigations into cops among their ranks to find out if they were involved in the siege on the U.S. Capitol on Washington, D.C. on January 6th. The growing number of probes follows an announcement from the Seattle Police Department on Friday that 2 of its officers have been put on administrative leave pending an investigation into allegations they were in the nation's capital during the events. The New York Times reports that cops from Texas, Pennsylvania, and New Hampshire are also now under similar scrutiny after social media posts placed them near the riots that took place in the nation's capital. Some of the potentially incriminating posts were made by the MAGA supporting officers themselves. Meanwhile, a police department in Pennsylvania is reviewing whether one of its officers may have broken the law by taking part in the insurrection after he was captured in pictures of the DC unrest. Quote, him being there's not a problem. He had a right to be there, but not to break into the Capitol. Wow. Chief of Police accurately citing the law that it is illegal to break into the U.S. Capitol. Unfortunately, Officer Numbnuts didn't get the memo. 2 black officers who were working at the Capitol during the attack told BuzzFeed News that some of the insurgents they came face to face with were in fact off-duty cops. Quote, one guy pulled out his badge and he said, we're doing this for you. Another guy had his badge. So I was like, well, you gotta be kidding. Another officer, a newer recruit, echoed these sentiments, saying that where he was on the steps to the rotunda on the east side of the Capitol, he was engaged in hand-to-hand battles trying to fight the attackers off. But he said they were outnumbered 10-1 and described the extraordinary scenes in which protesters holding Blue Lives Matter flags launched themselves at police officers. Quote, we were telling them to back up and get away and stop, and they're telling us they're on our side and they're doing this for us. And they're saying this as I'm getting punched in my face by one of them. That happened to a lot of us. We were getting pepper sprayed in the face by those protesters. I'm not going to even call them protesters, by those domestic terrorists, said the officer. So now we know that all the entitled white people are thoroughly confused as to what the word ramifications means. Let's take a look at their fearless leader and see what his overall attitude is towards the events that happened. Trump was more upset the Capitol mob looked low class than about violent attacks, report says. As a mob of his supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol on Wednesday, Donald Trump was reportedly unconcerned about the destruction or insurrection taking place, but instead how the violent extremists appeared, quote, low class. The president's ardent loyalists breached security measures, clashed with police, and injured at least 14 people while killing one officer in the wake of Mr. Trump's fiery speech filled with falsities about the 2020 election. Mr. Trump was apparently turned off by the chaotic scene, although not due to the assault on the U.S. government, but according to New York Magazine, because his supporters looked low class. He doesn't like low class things, an anonymous White House source told the magazine. Yes, this is why Donald Trump plates everything in gold and acts like an asshole, because he thinks that's what people think a rich person and a person who is not low class should be like. This is literally his only concern. This is what drives him. WAPO cited sources who said Mr. Trump was more upset about how the mob looked, quote, low class than how it was disrupting the work of government. A close advisor to the president told the newspaper Mr. Trump was, quote, bemused by the attacks. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump is not concerned that people came out and tried to do some insurrection in his name. He's not concerned that things got destroyed. He's not concerned that people got injured. He's not concerned that a cop got killed by an angry mob. No, Donald Trump's main concern is that these people look low class. You know, all the people carrying American flags. All the people carrying the flags with Donald Trump's name on it. Yeah, those people are low class. So, to all of you low-class cultists, low-class militia members, low-class Trump supporters, low-class Republicans, any of you who are planning on storming a Capitol building in your state or the U.S. Capitol building in D.C. for Inauguration Day this year, Donald Trump would like to make sure you know that he wants you to wear the proper attire. My name is James. I'm from the internet and I'm out. Peace.